Hello everyone, and after the nice winter hiatus, we are back, but we are not working on the rating today. We are working on my Daytona 660. What we are doing, or rather I am putting on a CS Racing full race exhaust on the bike. I'll also be doing an oil change just because I have all the body panels off and it's time for the annual service. And this is our kit. Does it look like much? Just a bunch of tubes in a bag, plus the little black plastic covering for the exhaust just to give it a little more depth. I am going to keep it in the bag until I have the other exhaust out, just so I can weigh this exhaust versus the old exhaust without having to have it all together and playing that whole game. All right, I guess we should get started, but today I need both hands. I did eventually find my older, it's a GoPro Hero 8 Black. I am going to buy a new action camera. I'm probably looking at DJI just because they seem to be the most advanced in this realm now. I am not sure how the audio is going to turn out because it's a camera that I haven't used. I can't hook up an external mic to it because software is bad on it. This video is going to be a little different in the way that I shoot it. I'm not going to do the more cutting, editing. It's going to be a lot more just me kind of working on the bike, going through it, not as much like tutorial, like made in that sort of way. I'm going to actually try to show some personality, good old days of YouTube when people actually worked on things that were able to talk about it more than just, you take this bolt out, now you take this one out. I'm going to try to actually have some personality with it, unlike what I do with the Radian, just because now I can have a camera on my head and I can do everything at once without pulling the phone out and that whole game. So I'm going to try a little bit more. And sorry about echoing. It's a garage made out of sheetrock. I can't do a ton about that. I just hope that you can hear my voice well enough. But first thing I'm going to do, get the seat off, which is just key, and then there's two 5mm hexes here. I might disconnect the battery, I might not, I don't know yet. First part of anything you do on a bike, you change a tire, then when you disconnect the battery, this shouldn't affect anything. And then we have the fun task of getting all these body panels off. It's not overly complex, it's just a pain because you have to pull out these two inserts here and then the inserts out of the housing for the radiator. I've only done it once on one of these bikes. Not a ton of people, I guess, have bought these or they ride them enough to actually put miles on it where the bike has to come apart, I guess. And this is the first time I'll be taking exhaust off one, so this will be a learning experience for everyone. Seat's off. There's no point in showing that just because can't figure out the seat. We shouldn't be doing exhaust. Biggest complaint of this bike is there's no room. I wish there was a little more room in it, but there's nothing I can really obviously do about that without taking a Sawzall and punching a hole through something. I also do wish I had some sort of like light in here more than the stupid ceiling light that kind of casts but doesn't. But here we are. Can't do much about it right now. Should have planned better, but not time to do it. The first thing we're going to do with this guy though is pop these two panels out. Unfortunately, this one, I think my clip's a little messed up because it keeps popping. I was rubbing on the coolant reservoir. I think we're gonna have to add a little bit of coolant. But same way on both. Stop, slip it down, and then there's the push pin on the front. And it just comes out right like that. Most of these parts, not these, but any of the bigger fairings, I'm gonna take off and move them into my utility room, which is where I've been doing I'll be doing the brakes in there, and that's where I did the carbs and everything like that. So it's not as much of a risk of me tripping on it, falling and shattering a panel, and I have no clue how much money these are, and I really don't want to find out today. That would not be ideal. I have to get a flashlight, so I'm not actually doing this blind. There are little push rivets, I can feel them right here and pop them, that hold these two infill panels, and they just have to come out to get to the access bolts to get this whole fairing off. Also, just for brevity, it is 9:40 in the morning right now. We'll say we start at 9:30, just as an even round number. And also, it took a minute to take the seat off, and I'm moving around and whatnot and trying to get everything set up. But there are, I hope it can be seen when my camera's set up correctly, but there are two little push rivets. They have a center dimple that just get pushed in and then it releases. And those come out just to get these body panels off. Man, she needs a bath. I do plan on washing it soon, but I just haven't had a chance yet, and I can't wash it at home due to my leasing agreements, which is kind of what it is. I can't do anything about it. That's what the little rivet looks like. It's just a little push rivet. And it's just like that in the bike, and you push it in just a little bit, and it snaps and it lets go of everything. And then to reset them, you just push it in like this, put it back in the bike, and make it flush. It's just the same on both sides, and then they are same on both sides, and then they just come out like that. No real pressure or anything, they just pop right out. Oop. Just like that, they come out. Set them in a safe place, away from where they'll get dropped or something will fall on top of them. Next thing to do is to remove those. And then it's just these two on both sides, come right out. And if you're, for some reason, not the video to find out where it is, but this is where the second fuse box and a few relays are. One's under the seat, but I guess that's just for, space management. They put it there. And they just come right out to 5mm hex. I believe most of the things on this bike should be 5mm hex. Say the drain plug, I believe that's a hex. I think it's a 8mm. I could be wrong. I will correct myself when we get to doing the oil. And I'm just going to brush past that. That's not the main focus of the video. It's to put this exhaust on and see where we go. Now this is going to be a little hard to show, but there are more of the pins on this plastic on down here which will need to come out, and then all under the bike. I hope you guys can see that all under my bugs I've squashed, and they all have to come out in order to get these infill panels out. And then there are some hidden bolts under them to get the fairings off. Once you get those there should be 5. I'm missing one on this side, which is my fault, and I thought I replaced it for some reason. But all you do is you pull out, and it should come out the front of the bike like that. It's not too terrible. I'm just gonna reset all these pins and put them back in the spots they were. The only one that's kind of a pain is there is one right here. Right next to the fork. Obviously, the best way to do this, just not having a lift, is with a paddock stand. But what's better about the paddock stand is you can actually turn the bars to make a little bit more room instead of a lift where you're kind of locked into place. It's possible either way, but one's easier than the other. Same thing on this side. I do use typically some type of tool sheet. The 5mm hex actually fits almost perfectly in the little hole to just pop them. Oh, that one came out with the hex. No real pressure needed, just very lightly. click on it. Handle slips right out. No real problem, it just pops right out. As you can see, I have a lot more motorcycle tools. I even have a shelf now for the Yamaha parts. Typically, when taking a bike more apart, I usually have little tubs so I can place bolts and label them if needed. Luckily, for most bikes, not always, but a lot of the time, all the parts are so different. Most bolts or screws will not go in a spot that they're not supposed to. Same with cars in a way, but a lot of parts on a car, everything can kind of fit, but they can be totally different because certain bolts are supposed to be torqued to yield and whatnot. Obviously with this, there are torque to yield bolts in the motor, but I'm not touching the motor, so there's no real worry about that, and that stuff should be replaced anyway. So let's see if I can show this right there. And if you can't really see, it's right behind the D of the Daytona when you put your hand behind it. There is a 5mm hex that needs to come out, and it's holding all this together. And then after that, well, I can do that right now, but we can pop that. And there is another 5mm hex holding the lower infill panel together, along with more of the little push rivets. You know, I'm also obviously taking my time on this, and this is the first time doing exhaust on one of these. So I'm not gonna, be trying to set a land speed record on, fixing, or rather replacing the exhaust. But anyone can do this. It's not that bad. The only part that's going to eventually get tricky isn't the, taking the body panels off. It's going to be getting the exhaust out, because we have to slightly move the radiator forward and obviously be very, very careful not to smack the radiator with a wrench or the pipe, because you put a hole in a radiator, that's, well, your day is over effectively. And obviously you're playing the exhaust, and they'd be able to tell. You would never get a warranty claim on that. Or, because that's completely on you, and you're not gonna get any help there from anyone, from any company. As you can see for our upcoming video, I don't know if you can, but we have the brake rebuild parts for the Yamaha. So that'll be a fun, entertaining thing, because I've never done that before, so that will be a learning experience for me. And there is a 5mm hex on the bottom. Try not to hit my head. Oop. Right on the bottom, there's 5mm hex like everywhere else. And then she comes right out. And you have a dirty as hell radiator shroud. Put that right on my winter gloves. Now to get the body panels off, there is a second 5mm hex down under here. And then there's one right next to the kickstand. Which I'm not worried about that falling off anymore, so. She is shorter, so keep that in mind. Oh, I see I was wrong. There is another one right here on this. I don't know if that's real, but it might be faux carbon fiber. It might be, I doubt it's real. Right under the headlight. That lets that go. And very carefully, we yank it. All right, there's a pin there. Just worry about this front piece. Oh. Okay, that's just a clip that can come off. And then it slides forward off of this bracket here. Yep, slides forward off this bracket. So it looks like, I believe that's it on the back of here. Very carefully while holding this, you have to sneak your hand behind there to disconnect it, which obviously they did not think. And then this little connector here, you can push down, or it's easier to just lightly pull up on that tab, and then pull off. Very carefully. I'm going to place this in the utility room. Oh, we got a rock. I'm going to place this in the utility room so that it does not get fallen on and broken. And now that I've, put that in the utility room so we don't have to worry about it, same thing goes for this. Now that I know that I've missed the bolt on the front, we can pop that. We don't have to worry about that bolt on the bottom because that came off on the other side. And now this should just let go, or almost let go. Gently. Oops, this one's fighting me a little more. Uh-huh. Oh, weird. Okay. So, for some reason, the turn signal is holding it in a lot closer on this side. Which is fine, it's just a little odd that it didn't do the same thing on that side. Or rather the other. Yep. We pull that off. We got a panel again. I'm gonna put this in the utility room as well. And now our bike's semi-naked, I guess. Doesn't look too much like a Trident when it's naked like this, but it is what it is. The next thing I believe is there's a 8mm bolt on the bottom here of this radiator. And then that will slap the radiator forward, and then we can get to the exhaust bolts and start to undo the exhaust. Once the radiator in place. And the exhaust is a little warm, but that'll help me pop what's it called, off. I'm not gonna keep pushing on that because I'm not 100% sure. I do know though that we have to really quickly disconnect the O2 sensor, which is right next to this. Let me pop that, and it's right next to the coolant pipe. Let's see how I can get my finger back here. Oh, there it goes. That's just the O2 sensor, which I believe, because it's an American bike, it only has one. The European ones do have two. They have a before and after, and I believe they're trying to make that thing in the US now, which would be a pain in the ass to get in there to that exhaust. And you can see where I've dumped oil. Actually, I think that cap might be a little loose, or the, yeah, I need to clean that up a little better, but I don't know. Gotta pop that guy off right there. 12mm with an extension, that'll get you going. Should probably try not to be using a 1/4" ratchet. That's this small, but that's good. Everything's coming loose, so I'm not that worried about it. Yep, I set my flashlight down over there. I'm not getting it back. Same thing on this side, that's behind the chain. looks like this screw at the top, which I believe that's actually it is a Torx bit. This has to come out on this side and then the other side to slip it forward. Looks like a T30. Yep, and there is another one right behind this coolant line. Yep, and our next thing is to get those exhaust off, and it looks like they're 10 mils. Very carefully. Oh wow, it's a 12 mil. I'm shocked. There are 6 of these bolts. They're all 12 mil. They should all have lock nuts on them, so you can't just crack them and take them off, which sucks, but so the bike doesn't fall apart. I know that you guys cannot see what I'm doing, but this is I guess the best way to do it. You have enough room, just barely. God, it's so tight with this motherfucker. It's so tight with this radiator in the way. Might get on the other side, but it's so tight with the radiator in the way. You just have to be very, very, very careful to not smack anything. All right, so that's very carefully rock it back and forth. And she comes right out. Let me see what just fell. So with this CS Racing kit, I do know we have to keep the OEM exhaust gaskets in, and they do give you a little set right here that go on top of it, and it's, I guess, to elongate it so the pipes fit. There was a little piece of paper that said to do it that way, so I'm doing it that way. I am going to go steal my wife's scale so we can then see how heavy this is compared to the kit. Kit's obviously, that'll be a little weird because I have plastic and whatnot on it, but that'll have the O2 sensor, or I'll pop the O2 sensor just to make it fair, but you know, let's see what this does. Well, now that I've stolen her scale, we can. So I am 193. Then we'll pick this up. What, that's almost 20 pounds? So it's about 10 pounds lighter. Not as much, but not that much, but it's still a good bit lighter, which is cool because that means you save a little bit of weight, and then it'll open up the bike and in theory make more power. So it's right around 11 o'clock. So let's say with me doing this and the oil change, and obviously I'm moving around, not doing it the most efficient way. I'm doing it on the ground, I'm sitting down, I'm moving back and forth. So what, it took about an hour and a half. It's not too bad to get the pipe off, but I'm gonna get this battery charged. I'm gonna make lunch. All right, all right, everyone, we're back, and our exhaust is kind of assembled. I just had it mocked up just to see what it would look like and other side, but I am quite happy. I did throw the O2 sensor, wrong part. I did throw the O2 sensor in it. I am keeping the DB killer in it. There was a plastic film around it, so you had to pull it out. These two, the hex head and locking nut or lock washer were sitting inside of it, so when you pulled it out, it came out with it. And that is a straight shot. You can see sunlight through it. It is a resonator, so it's not just a straight pipe, but it is going to be a good bit louder. I am going to pop the pipes off. They do have, which is nice, A, B, C, and it's all labeled so you know where it goes. But I am going to pop these off and put them on the bike and then put the collector on it, just so I don't have to play with putting it on, clocking it, and taking it off, clocking it. There are no like seals here. It's just it's so tightly fit, it'll go in, and these these three sit over your original exhaust gaskets. If I can find the piece of paper, if I didn't chunk it, which I don't think I did. I might have. It did say to put these on top of your OEM gaskets. Whoops. So that's what we're gonna do right now. Get the flashlight. Then we can lay down on it. And these sit just like this. They're nice and tight too, so you don't have to worry about them falling out while you put your exhaust in. I don't know what you can see, you'll probably just look out the radiator, but they just go in the hole. And there they are, they're all in, nice and tight. C should be the left-hand side, or 3, it's printed right on there. I wonder if they're all printed like that. Yes, they all have little prints right there, or engravings, or presses so you know where they go on the bike. Sit right under it. Put that guy on. Then we'll have to just snug it up a little bit, just so she doesn't fly away. You'll want them on there pretty loose for right now, just so you can move it, but enough. Just start the threads so it doesn't fall off, but you can still move it back and forth without hassle. Man, I'd love to have a motorcycle lift in here so I didn't have to do this. Now that we've played with and clocked it a little bit, we'll put the rear portion of the exhaust on the resonator and pipe. And then we can fit that down, make sure everything's routed correctly. And then we will get the pipe all tightened down, and then we can start the bike and test it. This guy right here, our backing spacer. Put it in this grommet. Goes right in. Yep, and then we will tighten that up. Make sure everything gets routed correctly. Wrong one. This pulls the exhaust together. Not all the way, just enough so we know roughly where it lays. And then I will very quickly tighten the header bolts, and I won't bore anyone with that because I already have footage of me loosening on. Same thing in reverse. The only trick is with the header flanges is you do one side down a little bit and you do the other side, and like you very slowly even it out just so it gets a proper seal and it gets properly tight. But I will get that sorted in a moment. And here we are. The exhaust did work, obviously. You saw the startup. I did check for all the leaks, headers, collector, that pipe. There are no leaks. Sounds good. No codes on the dash right now, but I will be taking it and getting the Triumph adaptations reset in lieu of there not being any tuners around here who work on these. I am looking for a tuner who has at least worked on one of these bikes before, because I've seen online with like one dude who dyno tuned it that he got a ton of power out of it, and I would prefer to go to a tuner than get like a BT Moto tuner or something like that, just because if I'm paying that much money, I'd rather just go to a actual dyno and get someone to dyno tune it per the bike. So what we're gonna do is throw the cover on, and then we put the Triumph, I believe we put the Triumph cover that's on that exhaust back on to protect the underside of the exhaust. And then we'll throw the body panels back on. I won't record any of that because it's the same thing as reverse. Nothing special. You saw me take it off. You can probably figure out how to put it back on. But other than that, the exhaust is installed. I won't be riding it today, but tomorrow I'll ride it and get the adaptations reset, and then I could get some audio for how it sounds compared to how it did before. The recording setup I have in my helmet's a little scuffed because the GoPro is so old, the microphone doesn't work, or the microphone will not connect to the GoPro and I can't talk to the microphone, so you don't get any audio from me. But I do have, I think, 2 or 3 clips of it accelerating and idle and whatnot with the stock pipe, and I'll do the same thing with this one, so we're all good. This is with the DB killer in it, and it of course it is a little bit louder without the DB killer in it. I just want to keep it in there so I don't piss off the neighbors. You know, I try to be a decent person some days, but we're gonna get that panel on, and then the plastic cover that they provide, or it's not really plastic, it's some type of polymer or heat protective polymer resin, so it won't melt. But I like how it looks when it flows into the bike because it makes it all come together. But we'll get that on, and then you'll get some cool audio and we'll be all good. Yep, that comes off. I don't know, I didn't have the camera on. Flip it over, you have 5mm hex, and then this just pulls back, and they have it set up on here. So it will be the exact same. It lines up like that. But lines up like that. I'm going to put these on separately. And then we'll just lay down again. Yep, and that's, I'll tighten it in a moment, but you get the gist. And then we'll really quickly put the plastic part on, and then it goes back together. These are 4mm instead of 5. And then loosen them up, take them off. Uh-oh, that one's kind of in a bad spot. But loosen them up, take them off. You don't have to put this on, but I really like how the exhaust looks with it. Like that, it goes on. And, oops. Okay, you gotta slip it back. And then everything lines right up, which is really cool. But tighten her down, then we'll be good.